Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video. Now welcome to a profile review breakdown. So these generally, I think, help people if they are really technical about wanting to climb. And if you're serious about climbing, these should help. But I will always say that take the advice with kind of like a pinch of, sugar, salt, whatever. Because I don't know the people personally that we're going to be looking at here. So the advice could be completely correct, or they may have counters. This isn't a conversation, it's not a discussion. I'm sure if I was speaking to these players and going, why is that? A lot of them will have answers for them, and maybe we could break those apart, but obviously it's not a two-way thing. Again, maybe in the future we could do that type of thing, but not this video. We'll also mention we're using U.GG at the moment, as you guys know, or if you don't, we've got a partnership with them that we've been looking at the champion builds, item builds and everything in Champion Select, which is fantastic. Again, easily the best website for that type of thing. But recently they've actually implemented a profile section. So we'll be using that today. Currently it's only available in North America, EU West and EU Northeast, but as you'll be able to see here, very coming soon, global basically, Korea, Brazil, Japan, LAN, LAS, Russia, OC and Turkey. So that will be coming soon, but right now it's kind of the main Western ones, because I guess they're the biggest in the West. We'll also mention that what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing profile breakdowns for specifically YouTube members. So if you guys didn't know, there is a YouTube member program that if you're watching a video, underneath the video there might be a join button that you can click and join. It costs $5 a month, and the biggest thing that I'm going to be kind of providing for that is exclusive ways to ask me questions in the community tab, that once a month I'll say, hey, if anybody's got questions, throw them at me and I'll answer them always. And also at least 50% of profile review breakdowns in the upcoming episodes will be YouTube member specific ones. So again, you can join that, and then once you go on the channel, the HuzzyGames channel, there is a community tab, and then the posts are highlighted members only. So yeah, pretty cool. Feel free to check it out. Again, it obviously supports the channel, and as a thanks, I just thought I'd include this kind of perk. So our first person is here, Stronk Tomato. I've had a little quick look at their profile, and obviously to get a sense of the profile system here on U.GG. So we'll go on that, and I will also mention, unfortunately, 5 people, YouTube members, replied to my message, but 3 of them were on servers that currently U.GG doesn't have, so those people will be in the next one when they, those servers are available. So we've only got 2 profiles to break down, but what I'm going to be doing at the end is I'm going to go on a known personalities profile, and we'll just have a little bit of a snoop, and we'll have a little bit of a look of their profile, and some people may enjoy that at the end. I'm not going to say who's yet, but obviously they are a quite well-known player. So our first guy is Stronk Tomato, or Tomato if you're American, because this guy is on North America. So we're currently in Gold 4. We're in Promotion Series with a 53% overall win rate. Doesn't play Flex, doesn't play 3v3s. Is seeming to be a pure solo queue player. Again, U.GG can do the queue type. Again, if we change that to ranked solo, just to kind of get the 100% the accurate statistics. But over on the left, it only shows ranked solo as for the things that you play. So what are we? We are a Nico main, a Lux player, a Ahri player, a bit of Nami. So you seem to be a 3 main champion predominantly. Obviously, vast predominantly being a Nico main, then Lux, then Ahri, and then the drop-off is quite significant. So 147 games, 66, 44, then 15. So a big chunk, biggest chunk, smaller chunk, and then poof, down to 15 games on Nami. So I presume obviously mid lane main, and straight away one thing that I've noticed is the glacial augment. We'll talk about that in a minute, but how have you been doing recently? So last 20 games you've got a 70% win rate. KDA is not bad. CS per minute is on the low side, however. So again, my average advice is I'm looking for about 6 CS per minute. For the average solo queue player. Again, sometimes you can do better than that, sometimes you're going to do worse than that, but we're looking for averages here. Again, the weird thing about when people are watching commentaries is they're looking at high rating, and obviously I'm not a very good farmer. I can do average, but some people go, how the hell is he farming that little? A lot of the time people don't take into account what type of game it is. If it's a massive kill game, there's a lot of jungle ganks, there's a lot of fighting, you're obviously going to farm less. The skill of farming is to try and keep that farm up when that stuff is happening, or if you're trading with your lane opponent, to trade and farm at the same time. But we'll also just change that specifically to mid lane. So obviously it does go up a bit because you may have had some support games. So your last 20 games of mid lane, you've got a 75% win rate. You've got a 3 KD, which is all right, pretty good. And then your average farm is still on the low side, so maybe we'll have a little think about why that is. But you're predominantly playing right now Neeko, obviously, your Ahri, and Lux. So your 3 that we mentioned over here. There's a random LeBlanc there. But yeah, it's pretty much those 3 solely, with also running Glacial Augment in most games. A little bit of Arcane Comet on Lux. Lux pressed the attack for some reason. I'm guessing that was a mistake. So it does seem that you run Arcane Comet on Lux, you run Glacial Augment on Neeko mainly, and on Ahri. So the first thing I'll say about Glacial Augment, which you may or may not know, is Glacial Augment is supposed to be a niche build. Or niche, if that's how you pronounce it. It's not supposed to be a general thing that you do every game on a champion, like Ahri or Neeko, etc. It's meant to be something that you use to abuse a certain weakness in your opponent if they are that type of opponent. If they are low range, if they're melee, you know, if you think you can basically get to that person, hold them still to do the damage. So it's not something you're supposed to be doing every game. So again, we'll have a look through your match history real quick. So this game, you're playing Glacial Augment. What are you against? You're against a Orianna. So that is not something that I would run Glacial Augment against. Arcane Comet would be a much more effective use of Neeko in this instance. And again, you could be building it for the opposition, but again, you're against a higher range, you know, Xerath that he can kind of stay away from you. Severe's got a spell shield and has a running ultimate. So yeah, this game I would not have run Glacial Augment. To me, this would be an all-in burst game with Arcane Comet, definitely. Let's go for another one. Again, we're playing Ahri this time. We're against a Katarina. Katarina is okay to run Glacial Augment against. Obviously, she somehow got very fed, but I think you still won the game. You did. Yeah, I would probably run Glacial versus a Cat, or I'd say it's okay. Arguably, though, Glacial Augment obviously doesn't actually CC your target. As a Katarina, that means you're not stopping her spin. The biggest counter to Katarina is either CC or burst. And the Electrocute build for Ahri would have done a lot more burst than the Glacial Augment build. So it is questionable if that was the right decision as well. So the pattern that I'm getting to, and again, hopefully people know that this is never a personal attack. This is to help people get, better, is when you're doing something like a Glacial Augment, or if a new build emerges, always remember that some of these builds aren't generic. They're not supposed to be used every single game. They're supposed to be used in certain situations. And it does seem that you're mainly doing Glacial Augment as a generic build. So I'd say just think about that a little bit more. If that's your comfort build, then I'd guess continue it. But I'd also say that I don't think the Glacial Augment build is going to last forever. So if you become very reliant on that same build, which especially for Neeko it seems that you are, your highest played champion, what happens if that build goes away and you're only used to playing that way? You are going to suffer a little bit as a player because your playstyle goes away. So again, that's a prediction of mine. I don't think Glacial Augment is going to be around forever, or at least for mid laners, because I don't actually think Riot loves mid laners playing with it, if I'm honest. So I'd have a little bit of a think. Again, it's up to you. But yeah, as for other things, again, there's good consistency. One of the biggest things I've always said to people, if they want to climb, you don't have to be one trick. You don't have to be anywhere near a one trick, but you should be having consistency in playing the champions the same time. So you've got 2 Neeko games, 3 Lux games, 5 Neeko games, 2 Ahri games in a row. So you will be building consistency there, which is good. So again, never have to be a one trick, whatever, but if you play 3 games of your main champion in a row, 3 games of another champion in a row, that's when you're going to be starting to get better at the game. So obviously a big win streak here, which is fantastic. Overall win rate is 53%, which means that you are going to be climbing. What is your second role again? Your second role is... let's go overall. Support, ? It does seem to be support. Yeah, it is support. Okay, let's look at your support. Ooh. Big thing that we've noticed straight away. So your main role, last 20 games, 75% win rate. Your secondary role, 25% win rate. So again, for climbing, your last 20 games of support, a lot of red. So again, that is definitely going to hurt your climb. And again, a lot of these games, you can see a month ago, so you hardly play the role. But again, this is in your last 20 games as support. So this affects your overall win rate. And that means 75% of these games you lost So 15 games here, you lost, and look at your win rate. It could be even higher right now. So that is definitely something that you could consider, is maybe you need to get a little bit better with support if you are occasionally getting it. And, you know, the thing that I would also point out, your Nami and your Morgana are the most played. Not bad win rates. You know, there's a random brand here, though, and your brand isn't even your top, you know, 10 support champions. So when you're playing an off roll that you hardly play, you should definitely have your core picks on your off roll, especially when you hardly play that role, because it takes the randomness out of, like, you know, the knowledge that you may or may not have. One thing noticeable straight away to me is that, you know, you're doing fine on some things. Your Nami's got a blue KDA, positive win rate. So again, you could play both of these two champions, but your Zyra win rate seems to be pretty damn good, and your assists are great. The KDA is not bad. What I'd like to know, if it's possible, again, I'm new to the U.GG profile, champion stats, is there a damage area? There is. Here we go. Average damage dealt. So you're doing 8,000 damage, obviously, on Nami. She's not a damage dealer. So you're doing quite a bit more on Morgana, which is great. You're doing 18,000 damage average on Zyra. Comparing, let's see it to your mid lane. Wow, that's really telling. You're doing average nearly 21,000 on Nico, 19.2 on Lux, 17,000 on Ahri. Again, Glacial Augment is a low damage build, so these damage numbers are actually a little bit low, if I'm honest. But then you swap over to Zyra, you're doing more average damage on Zyra than you're doing with your Ahri. To put it in perspective, that's kind of crazy. So again, this is also a way that I would say consider maybe not doing Glacial Augment all the time, because these damage numbers for mid lane carries, they are on the lower side. You know, it's telling that because a support that you're playing is doing more damage than your Ahri and nearly more damage than your Lux. Again, that's not even all. Your Vel'Koz is near your mid laners, your Karma is near your mid laners. So, and again, you're probably not running, your Morgana's not doing bad with also being a support. So again, that's also a point that we said earlier. Maybe think about doing, like, not doing Glacial every game, because again, it's not the biggest carry potential build. It's good, it has its place, but not every game. But yeah, overall, I think you'll continue climbing. You know, I think you'll be fine. You know, very much, obviously, you've played a little bit of, like, you've played 5 games of top lane, with them still mainly being Nico. Jungle, a random Viger jungle game, apparently. So again, you very much do seem to be a player that only predominantly plays 2 roles. So if you're okay with that, that's fine. I would always recommend 3 just in case. But again, you shouldn't be as affected by autofill as others, because obviously the most likely place you're going to get autofilled is support, and support is your second role. If, you know, I'd always say to people, make sure you can play support if, you know, you don't main it or you don't have it as an off role, because you're going to get autofilled there occasionally, but for you, that should be relatively fine, it being your second role anyway. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing, you'll be fine, and maybe just, again, like we mentioned, just have a little bit think of doing this every game. And also, what I'd say is the farm needs to improve. A basic way, because a lot of people always say to me, what should you do about farm? It's actually something that I should do myself, if I'm honest. So right now, if you focus in on the bracket, I keep clicking. If you're focusing on the bracket, that is your farm per minute. So I say you should be looking for 6 farm per minute. In the grand scheme of things, remember there are 3 minion waves that spawn a minute, or, you know, every 25 seconds. So 2 and a bit, you know, it depends what minute of the game. But let's just say on average, about, if you worked out on average in the game with cannon minions and everything, roughly in your lane as a mid laner, roughly 15 farm per minute comes out the Nexus. So you're getting 3.3 farm per minute out of that 15 available farm per minute just from your Nexus. That's no jungle creeps, that's no roaming. Just from your mid lane, you're getting 3.3 out of 15. So that is, to put perspective of, like, how low the farm potentially is. So what I would do is, for the next week while you're playing your games, actively in your mind think farm, 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 and then see what you do with the bracket. Check after every game, if you want to, what did I get in the bracket? Did I hit that 6? And your target is 6 CS per minute. And this, by the way, this is to everyone. If you're watching at home right now, this is why I do these episodes. You can take my advice, even if it's not you specifically, the Stronk Tomato, and you can do it as well. And then look after every single game what your percentage is. And if you do that for a week, I would wager your average farm of how good you are at farming goes up. And then you'll start thinking less about the percent. You'll start thinking less about the bracket average farm per minute, because you'll be averagely doing better. So that's what I'd recommend you to do. Right, cool. Next one, and obviously the last one that we can do for now. We've got a guy, which is a really interesting name, Fiddle Me Diddle. I presume we've got a Fiddlesticks player here. Yes, we do. Okay, so we've got a... What rating are we in? We're in North America again. We've got a Platinum 4 Fiddlesticks player. We've got quite a lot of games. Over 700 games this season, approaching the 800, probably in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, 269 Fiddlesticks games, but then, wow. Okay, something straight away that has obviously popped into my head. But let's just change it to solo. Seems that you're a solo queue player anyway. So, you have a big drop-off. Okay, this is... Wait, Fiddlesticks mid? Wow, you're a fiddle mid player, okay. So we've got 269 games, 61% win rate. Your KDA is okay. Very low farm average, 110 CS per game. That's very low. Then you've got Tam Kench with over 100 games, 123 games with a 44% win rate with quite high deaths. You've got 104 games on Viger with a 40% win rate. So, and then Morgana. Is that Morgana mid? Okay, it does seem to be Morgana mid because of the farm. Okay, so predominantly you're a 4 champion player. Then your second role is support, because I presume... Well, where's Tam? Is that... Okay, it's got farm, so I presume that's Tam top. Okay, again, weird playstyles are a thing. Fiddlesticks is obviously a very weird mid laner. He's not a mid laner. He's not balanced for mid. So if you feel that you can continue climbing with it, then obviously I'm not going to say stop playing it. But what I would say about Fiddlesticks mid is you most likely will start struggling soon. You're in Platinum 4 right now. When you're playing a champion that isn't designed for a role, and you're playing it in a role it doesn't belong, the weaknesses are bigger of that champion. So Fiddlesticks, we already know you're getting... your weaknesses are showing because the farm average. So you're getting 110 farm in a game on average as a mid laner, and mid lane is supposed to be one of the highest farming roles. So again, I presume that's happening because you're getting zoned from meta mid laners. Because again, obviously pre-6 Fiddlesticks isn't going to do anything in mid lane. And then obviously Fiddlesticks is mainly about using his ult to go all in, not necessarily farm. Do you play him any jungle? So you do play Fiddle a bit jungle. So you play him in the jungle 66 games, and then mid lane 150 games. So you have a 64% win rate in the mid lane and a 58% win rate in the jungle. And then other things, so you've got a 61% win rate on Morgana mid, 41% on Viger. Top lane, there's your Tam Kench, and support. So you do play a little bit of Fiddle support as well. Okay, so it's hard for me to give proper advice because my actual advice would be not play Fiddlesticks mid, but obviously you probably don't want to hear that if you just like playing Fiddlesticks mid. And that's what I've always said. If it works for you, that's what you enjoy, it's your video game, continue doing it. But I would say you are going to start struggling. If your ambition is Diamond, for example, put it this way, as right now a Diamond 2 mid and top lane main, even when I was in Diamond 4, if I saw a Fiddlesticks mid, and trust me, I've played against them, I'm very happy. I'm never going to be scared of a Fiddlesticks mid because he's really easy to abuse in mid lane. So again, 90% of what Fiddlesticks is all about is surprise attacks. And if you're standing in mid lane, you're not really doing any. And obviously, predominantly, I imagine you're just becoming then a late game Fiddlesticks, ulting for wherever possible from side bushes and stuff. Which, if that's the case, jungle is just a stronger role for you because you can do the early game surprise attacks that you can't do in mid. So again, my actual advice is don't play Fiddlesticks mid, but you could easily ignore that if that's just your thing. So like the previous person, we said 6 is where we want you to be. For mid lane, you're averaging 4.69. So again, you can do the exact same thing, that you just focus on the farm per minute for the next week and see if that helps. Again, I think it's going to be pretty rough to do on Fiddlesticks because you're just going to get zoned. Other than that, your champions, I think we need to have a bit of a refresh about. So you've got 2 champions that have over 100 games played. Putting it in a bit of perspective, my biggest played champion this season, again, I'm in High Diamond 2 right now, is 27 games. I've got 27 games of Jace, and that's my most played champion this season, where you've got your top 6 champions more than my most played. Obviously, you know, you play a lot more League of Legends than I do, but with negative win rates on champions that have over 100 games, that is quite honestly impacting your climb quite a bit. So, you know, there is a 40% win rate, so that means you have lost 60 Viger games, roughly. So there, in your losses of 372, 60 of those are Viger. With your Tam Kench, again, roughly with a little bit more games, probably on honesty, around, what, 50 games? Maybe 55 games? So in your 372 losses, roughly 110 of those losses are from these 2 champions alone. Again, that was quick math, but it's going to be roughly around there. So that's kind of crazy when you actually put that down on paper and you're like 110 roughly games of my 372. A third of your losses, more or less, are from 2 champions. Drop those champions immediately is my advice. Just drop them. It's not worth it. Again, if it depends what you're in League of Legends for. If you're in for fun, again, continue playing it. But if you're in for climbing, drop them instantly. If you want to go, again, you don't play flex queue. If you want to go flex queue and practice those champions, and if you manage to get like a 70% win rate on Viger and Tam Kench in flex queue, then try to bring them back in solo queue. But my advice right now is just drop those champions. Your Morgana seems to be pretty good, and you are predominantly playing Morgana mid. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if you like Morgana, because it actually has a similar playstyle to Fiddlesticks, but does belong more in the mid lane than Fiddlesticks. Have a much easier time farming on Morgana than you would Fiddle. And if you do, you could do the Glacial build on Morgana, or you just can go a carry build. But again, the higher rating you go, you might start to find that you'll have an easier time on Morgana mid than you will Fiddlesticks mid. Again, you can pretty much play anything from Iron to Platinum, more or less, and you'll be relatively okay. The higher Platinums, the lower Diamonds, and obviously the higher ratings than that, you're going to start getting abused. Again, someone asked me on Discord yesterday, when do I think counter picks become something you should consider? Diamond. Like, just play the champion you know predominantly until you get up to Diamond, because you're never going to play a counter as well as what you main. So yeah, so just continue playing what you know, but the higher rating you go, you're also going to struggle against people that are also really good on actual mid laners. So be careful with that. Again, let's try and get that farm average a little bit up. And again, I'd have a serious consider and a little bit of a think if you want to continue playing Fiddle mid. You know, if your whole thing is having fun, go for it if that's what you find fun. But again, I'm sure you're not surprised by what I'm saying here, because, you know, people know that I wouldn't really rate a Fiddlesticks mid. Again, your jungle win rate is 58%. That's still pretty good. And again, you hardly play it. You're definitely a Fiddlesticks mid player. So yeah, again, odd, but sure. So farm is my main thing, and then definitely thinking about your champion choice is another. Again, summarize, think about Fiddlesticks mid, drop these 2 champions, maybe play Morgana more, and look for new champions to play in your off roles. If top lane is your off role, you'll need a new top laner instead of Tam Kench. If support is your off role, well, again, you've got relative neutral win rates, you know, some negative on Sona and Karma and Janna, but you've got a neutral win rate on Rakan, you've got a neutral rate on Tam Kench, and for an off role, a neutral win rate isn't the worst thing in the world. Again, if you've got a 50% win rate on your off role, but a 65% win rate on your main role, technically you should still be climbing. But yeah, that's going to be that. And then the final person we're going to look through, just for a bit of fun, is we're going to do IMAQTPIE. So again, a lot of people obviously know IMAQTPIE, which I must have spelt wrong. IMAQTPIE, there you go. For just a bit of, you know, perspective and looking at like what's different about higher rating. Obviously right now he's in Challenger on North America, 51% overall win rate, but once you've made it a Challenger, obviously quite a lot harder to maintain a really good win rate. But yeah, I just thought this would be a bit of fun because we've never really done this before. So we look at the bracket, like we've mentioned before. 6 is where I recommend the average player to be. Again, some games are different. Some games you can't farm. Sometimes you can farm a lot. If you look at his averages, and again, if we put for AD carry, he averages 6.75. So over what we say, you know, should be. And some people may go, if QTPie only gets 6.75, how am I supposed to get 6 as a gold player? Remember the differences between your opponents. QTPie is against challenger opponents, so therefore challenger people are poking him, ganking him, etc., making it very hard to farm. If you're gold, you're against gold opponents. So again, it all kind of levels out, but 6 is where you should be aiming for. in a general scheme. So he obviously wins that. His KDA, you know, is on the lower side, but if we look through average deaths, to be honest, PewDiePie dies quite a lot. For an AD carry, 6 deaths, 6.4, 6.6, 5.7, 6.1. Those are relatively high deaths for a challenger AD carry player, but you have to remember PewDiePie's playstyle is pretty aggressive and it's more for entertainment. You know, the dude knows he's a challenger player if he just trolls around. He plays to have fun. You know, he is not tryharding in probably most of these games, and he still maintains a positive win rate in challenger every single season. Like, it's just not a big deal to him. Other things, so let's have a quick look through his off rolls. So obviously main AD carry, really good win rate on Kai'Sa, good win rate, negative 40% win rate on Ezreal. So my advice for PewDiePie, drop Ezreal. Again, even having a negative KD for a challenger player. Pretty good on the old Tristana, negative win rate on Lucian. Again, there's a pattern here emerging that, you know, he has a negative KD again. He has a negative KD on Jinx, but with a slightly positive win rate. There's not bad there. His Heimerdinger, when Heimerdinger was bot, seems to be a really good win rate, but not as much played. So again, very aggressive player, but he does die quite a bit. You know, this is where sometimes people get a little bit delusioned of, they look at stats and they go, I've got better stats than PewDiePie. Again, like we mentioned earlier, different opponents. So let's look through his roles, because again, this is what interests me. He's a challenger AD carry. How does he do in off roles? So Sylas is his most played top laner, positive win rate. Again, look how much PewDiePie dies. It's actually surprising how much the dude dies. So negative KD, Rumble, positive win rate, negative KD. Again, remember the difference between KDA and KD. He's got positive KDAs on everything. That takes assists into play. But KD is just your kills and deaths. And when you're playing a carry position, you're looking actually to have a positive KD, not just a positive KDA. A support, however, a support main is looking for a positive KDA, not KD, because supports don't get kills. So again, it's just a bit of an eye-opener. So again, then negative win rate, more deaths than kills. Negative win rate, more deaths than kills. Positive win rate, more deaths than kills. A little bit of Vayne, but negative win rate. And then, so yeah, dude dies a lot. Then his jungle, more deaths than kills, but he is playing a Mumu, a bit more of a supportish jungler, but a good win rate, so that's completely fine. You know, if the difference again here, there is his Graves. So his Graves, positive KD. So there's the difference. You're playing something carry, you're looking for a positive KD. You're playing something supporty, positive KDA. Slight differences. So again, completely fine. Again, doesn't play much jungle. Mid lane, again, his Sylas. So his top lane Sylas compared to his mid lane Sylas, his mid lane is a lot better. And then playing Corki, again, very high deaths on average. His Fizz, again, more deaths. His Xerath, more deaths. His Nico, high deaths, but it's also high kills. Rumble, again, we're going down to small numbers. And then finally, support. So again, really good win rate, good KDA. Again, that's what you're looking for in an Alistar. Low deaths, bit high death, low kills, a little bit high deaths, but high assists. Same with Thresh. A little bit of Lux, positive win rate. Again, you're playing more supporty, so this is the instance that's good amount of assists are good. A bit of Nico, but a negative win rate there. But yeah, so this is a bit of an eye-opener. Some people may have enjoyed this right at the end, but it does also show that challenger people aren't always the perfect players. They don't have positive KDs on everything. They don't necessarily die like tiny amounts all the time. PewDiePie, on average, is an aggressive player that dies quite a bit. And everyone knows that, and maybe apart from himself. But, you know, you tune into PewDiePie occasionally, and he jumps in 1v5, you know. But that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy this video, throw a like on the video, throw a comment, you know. What do you think, if you want a key topic for today, what do you think is the main thing that is holding you back? Is it farm? Is it your champion pool? Let me know in the comments. I'll read through all of them. But that's going to be it. Like, subscribe, comment down below. I'll see you guys next time. And also, make sure you check out u.gg using the link in the description. See ya.